Hey y'all, grown black folks talk. Back out on the climb again at my high seat on my favorite hill. Now, I had a different video in mind for today. I was on Confidence with Love's page, and don't go over there unless you're prepared to have your world rocked and your mind putting things together that you've never put together before. But I have a video that I'm going to put in the description of the next video because I'm not going to address it. I meant to. I wanted to come out into a calm place. For the last 3 weeks, we have been dealing with certain black men talking about eliminating all black women and starting over. And obviously, this needs to be discussed in concert with men who have suggested this kind of thing before and had their little third like smashed. But I'm not going to do that today. And the reason I'm not going to do that today is because I was reminded of something. There are black men who I'm not going to burden today with that. Even though this is not a burden that I have created for anyone. But not today. And the reason I'm not going to do it today is out of respect for my father and out of respect for some black men I know. Because I'm going to have to find a way to thread that needle carefully. Now, I know that there are plenty of black women on my page who will instantly think to themselves here, well, they don't give us that kind of grace. That's correct. Many do not. However, the collective of black women is no more my mistress than the collective of black men is my master. I have one master. And he said, by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. See, my father and my mother made sure that I learned Ephesians 2:8 and 9 early. And so I am in this earth, not as the messenger of damnation, but after my master Jesus Christ. I am here as a messenger of grace. Now, will I warn you? Oh, see, that other video is coming, but not today. Not today, because today I want to talk with all of us who are healing today. Because I was reminded, if you are a good man in a corrupt culture, your life is hard in ways that the life of good women in a corrupt culture is not. It's just different. I've watched my father go through this all his life. You're raising your family. The men around you are selling drugs, shooting up neighborhoods, and you as a military veteran are in the middle of that, and you've got to keep your wife and daughters safe in ways that they cannot even understand, that men must confront men in order to protect women and children. And your wife and children don't understand why you're doing all that. Do that for about 20 years. And hold that line until the forces of gentrification, more powerful men, finally decide to remove the evil from around you, so that you can now live the last of your years in peace. That's one way to describe the life of Sammy Lee Matthews, my father, Reverend. And I say this with great reverence for him, because this is a minister. So as a minister, he surely wants to see his people saved. I remember once we had come from church, and he saw a black man being attacked by others. And he was already 60 plus. He ran across that street and threw those guys off that man like they were paperweights. Military veteran. I didn't realize how strong he still was at that age. He was still keeping up with 25-year-olds, helping them out with different work they were doing outside. It's like it's raining and that dirt's going to get heavier, and I just can't leave this young man to do this. That's the heart that's in my dad. And I was reminded today that there are still black men like this. I know it because my father does not exist in isolation. But because I didn't understand it as a child until now, I have grown into some of that and understand what it is like when you are in a community where you must stand alone against your own. As a black woman, I have been disgusted horrified, dismayed with the behavior of the collective of black women. We talked about on this channel how Lovely T made it her business to attack a child. We all remember Tasha K sitting up here talking about, I know I lied on Cardi B, but I got to get my coins. We all watched that. And there's more than I can talk about, but I won't, because my absence is sufficient comment. But I also realized, because of these experiences, that black men and black women are in the same trick bag. And we're going to have to get out by the same path, adjusted for our different experiences. My father had to stand his ground until more powerful men were ready to move. That's all that was available. And my father had to endure the other griefs of life, losing his parents and other things, while he was trying to do all that. But see, I got to read books that he read in his 50s and 60s about the priesthood of the believer and how to center yourself in Christ and who you are in Christ in my 20s. I got to seek life coaching and therapy, whereby in his generation, you just didn't do that. I got to know about resources that make it available for those things to come to our houses now. COVID gave me time off that he could never have when he was his working career, because he had to keep going. So we have resources today, and I'm going to put that in the chat, in the description for today. Life coaching, therapy resources that are available to you at your home. And I'm going to put the contact information for Miss D's, Miss C, Coretta. Coretta will have you getting your life together. Y'all know how I come up here and help you get your life together? That's what she did for me. She helped me. I was ready to learn, and I understood the assignment and did it. So if you ready, you ready for a step up from me, let's see you fix you up. If you're ready. If you're not ready, she's going to terrify you, because she's going to make you have to look at your stuff, and then she's going to be right there with you. She's going to help you be right there with you. But that's only for those who are ready to do the work. See, we have opportunities my dad and black men who were upright and black women who were upright did not have. So it falls to us to use it. The other thing that I've heard, and I have said it myself in younger years, I've heard this so many times. And see, Stephanie Perry has been talking about this for a while. These jobs and these people around us who are depending on us and relying on us, they ain't loyal. Stephanie Perry, I'll put her channel in the description. She'll bless you, because she'll help you to understand this. I've said it so many times, and I'm hearing it from younger generations of black people. I know that I am grieving and I need to rest, but I don't have time because I have this responsibility and that responsibility. But see, what you can't choose is when your day comes when you are so broken you cannot do anything, and then because you want to help so bad, you're going to sit up and talk about, I'm now going to be a burden because I can't go any further, so I'm going to remove myself from the equation because now I'm going to be a burden, because all I see my value to these people is in my work. This is the antithesis of understanding that grace is for you too. This is the antithesis of understanding as a human being, you have a right to and opportunity to rest. And we live in a trick bag culture, a satanic world system that requires performances of adoration and faith. We live under the, quote, Protestant work ethic, which only has for its adherents constant work to prove that they are valuable, to prove that they have worth to humanity. You only have your work. And this is because Satan, who runs it, does not care whether you live or die. He is only interested in using every human life to feed his narcissistic demands. And as my father taught me, we have a whole bunch of mature sons of Satan running this country who are exactly the same way. You're only valuable as you are valuable to them. And when you're no longer valuable to them, they will discard you and put you to the side. And there are black men and black women who also have adopted this satanic philosophy. And see, we are looking at each other, seeing each other cave in, and adopting the same behavior. Since you can't do what I want, you're no value to me. Be replaced with another woman. Be replaced with another man. You don't mean anything to me. So we're in a trick bag of only seeing our value in our works. And we are in a trick bag of not understanding how we are copying Satan's philosophy about humanity. And yes, Satan will also come and deceive us by saying, well, you can be like God too. And that's how our ego keeps luring us into the trick bag. As I've said recently, my pride has hidden in my compassion for too long. And that was how I was self-deceiving. Let me tell you what it costs you. I'm 42. I have nearly died 3 times. And for those who need to know it, I live on the 2nd story. And when the walls caved in, there have been days when that posed a temptation to me in my past. Now, I was requested to do a Bible study. So I'm going to tell you how I got out from a Christian perspective on grief. I can't do anything else. I can't give it to you from another perspective. At the afterlife, we diverge. But how do we deal with grief right now from that perspective? And what does God expect of us? Does he demand us to perform faith, to hear a sermon about, I would not have you to be ignorant, brother? Is that demanded of us? It is not. Spoiler alert. But the point I'm making here is that I recognize that a lot of the goings on by which both black men and black women propose a final solution to our problems that does not involve each other. I said the final solution for a reason. I will do that video. Now that folks think they're going to call for a crime 4 times the size of the Holocaust, that video will occur. But not today. Because I've got to thread that needle carefully. I was reminded of how much. How do you address the evil without putting an additional burden on those who are suffering to do good? That is the great dilemma. My father says to me, and he said it to me when I was recently ill, they who live godly will suffer persecution. It's a quote from Jesus Christ himself. It is inevitable that if you choose to stand for good against a culture that wants none of that, then you will be put into situations that you must suffer. Plus, all the things that happen in human life. We must experience loss because all of us must die, and none of us are ever ready when someone who we love dies, even though we know. I know that I must lose so many elders, beginning with my parents that I value. And I have, intellectually, I can prepare for it. But I have to be careful about the rest of my life because I also know that emotionally, there's no way. There's no way. So I must be very, very sparing about how much grief I choose and putting myself in situations where people are going to just refuse to grow and turn violently sometimes on those who are trying. The Lord Jesus kept saying during his ministry, people trying to kill him for about, from John 5 to John 20, from John 19 represents 2 or 3 years, two or so years. So he kept saying, my time is not yet. No, we're not going to do that. Time is not yet. He kept choosing, okay, when the time is right, then I will go through this. But this isn't time for me to go through this yet. I've really been considering that and learning, okay, every situation that presents itself may not be my time to get involved and take the blows, the slings and arrows that come with that. That's a lesson. So I have to choose carefully. And I advise this to you. To go back to something I said before. Yes, we all have responsibilities. But we also have to choose to lean into understanding that until we are healed, it's not even so much that we're going to be a burden and need to be removed. That's that old satanic slave owner thinking. But understand that other people will be given the opportunity to step up to their responsibility. And other people will find their way. And if they don't, that's not our responsibility. We have a responsibility to steward our own lives first. And that is what I'm going to put out for us today. I will return to those men who give tacit approval. It is no light thing to suggest a crime 4 times the size of Hollywood's publicly. It is no light thing to co-sign that. I will not give tacit approval to it. That drag is coming. But today, because I see the trauma and the unhealed and the collapsing of black men and women as human beings, I wanted to address, I see those of us who are growing, trying to grow. I see it. I see how people who are trying and who are trying to grow and do the right thing are being deeply and terribly wounded and being left in situations in which they cannot heal. I see how we will have to do more in supporting one another to give each other the space. And then we will have to take courage and use additional resources from people that at the moment have more power than we have, but that's not a bad thing. Greater power does not always mean greater oppression. We must, if you will, step out on faith. And my Bible study will discuss this, how stepping out on faith with one who does love you and does not require you to perform worship and adoration in the midst of your pain is the best thing that you could do, because none of us are adequate for the burdens that some of us are under. Being responsible that we've taken on, we've seen the suffering of others, and we have had our compassion activated. But again, our pride sometimes hides behind our compassion. Sometimes we need to stop and rest and let other people do their job for a while. And if they don't, it's not our responsibility. Knowing that there is one who will also intervene on behalf of the innocent and make a way. Our ancestors lived through what they had to live through knowing that. So sometimes what we have to do is be still and be quiet and let him make a way for us to rest and recover. It's a process. It's a process. I'm in it. It's not pleasant. It's not easy when you have the habits that I have of seeing the needs and going out of my way to meet them. It's not an easy process to learn, okay, but I'm a human, I have needs met, and I am not God. So I need to step back, allow him to work on and heal me and grow, and let him do for others what I cannot do, and what I am killing myself trying to do. For no good reason, because I'm still not going to be God tomorrow. And also, because his decree lies on certain people who do not want good. There is a verse in the Bible, it's in the Proverbs. He that doeth violence to the blood of any man shall flee to the pit. Let no one stop him. For those black men and black women who are out here choosing violence, there is a decree upon them. The first part says the pit is their lot. And the second part says to me, I'm not to get in the way. That's a different thing. But that's also not understanding that's why some of us get hurt. Trying to stop people who absolutely want to live by the sword and die by it. But that's a different story. That's not today. Point is, stepping back, resting, trusting in God to meet the needs. It's a process. I'm learning it, and I share it with you in the hopes that those of you who are ready will also seek it. The door is open to everyone, all humans. So that means black men and black women. And again, for those of you who are like, well, they wouldn't give us that much grace. That's right, because they're not God, but neither are you. But if you're ready to heal, and you're ready to grow, this content is for you. Y'all have a good day now. Goodbye. Later on, I will do the least read psalm in the Bible as a study on grief. Goodbye. Thank you for listening.